Hi, welcome to the business math course. So the structure of this course can be a bit unique compared to maybe some of the other courses you've seen. And I wanted to introduce you to some of the key aspects so that you can have easy navigation through the course right at the beginning and won't have to poke through and get lost and figure it out over time. So hopefully this will help you out and get you on the right track right away. So you would have found the welcome watch videos, the video you're watching right now, located in here. I'm going to go directly into week one. And we see here, week one. At the top here, you'll find your graded discussions. But actually, let's go in here. Notice that towards the top, after the day one quiz, at the top, pretty much at the top of every week, you'll see at the top of every week, you'll find a link that says graded activities. Click on here and you'll see a list of all the graded activities. You can use this as a checklist to make sure you finish all the graded activities. It may look a little overwhelming, but realize that a lot of these activities only have like just a few questions. So you may notice that some of them are just really quick. Furthermore, if you completed the workshop for business math, which you had access to for the past 3 weeks before the class started, you may know pretty much everything that you see here because the warm-up workshop covers chapters 1, 2, not so much 3, but then you'll notice that the first week of week 2, which is chapter 5, that is also covered in the workshop. So the workshop covers chapters 1, 2, and 5. So anyways, you have the due dates here and for the discussions and all the graded activities. And each chapter has its own chapter test. So there's 3 chapter tests, which are a little bit longer than the actual, in-class and out-of-class assignments you see before them. Anyways, let's go back here to back to week 1. And you'll notice that chapters 1, 2, and 5 were covered in the warm-up workshop. And so if we were to open up the chapter 1, objective 1 and 2 lecture PowerPoint, you just click on there and it'll download. So I'll download that right now. And hold on one moment. Okay, I paused the video, but it took about 20 or 30 seconds for the PowerPoint to open or to download. And it's here. And you'll notice I'm going to go to the next slide. It's covering learning objectives 1 and 2, which is the first section here. You'll notice that there's a graded activity below the PowerPoint. So notice that that this PowerPoint will cover material from these 2 objectives. And notice that, as I mentioned, this is one of the chapter 1 was covered in the warm-up workshop. So I reference the warm-up workshop right here, and I tell you which objective to look at to help prepare for this objective. So anyways, you'll notice that you'll go to the workshop and it'll tell you which workshop to look at to study up on this. And you'll want to go back there. You may have already completed the objective that I referenced, but you'll want to look back and make sure that you're reviewing the workshops. Even if you've already completed, it may be a good idea to review it. And if you haven't taken the quiz already, keep in mind you can still earn extra credit by doing well in the workshop quiz. And so let me know if you have any concerns about that, but you can go back to the workshop, and any of the workshop chapters, like chapters 1, 2, and 5, I'll be referencing which objective to look at from the workshop, and yeah, that will help. And then there's other problems you can work on, and then learning objective 2, learning objective 1, you'll want to take a look at those, some examples from the textbook for more practice. And okay, so I'll close that down. And so as I mentioned, when you're ready, you can take the chapter 1, objective 1 and 2 out of class assignment, and it explains some criteria. Keep in mind that this applies to throughout the entire course. there's multiple choice problems or there's non-multiple choice problems. Any multiple choice problems, you'll only have 2 attempts at the problem. And if you miss your first attempt, you get a 50% penalty on that one problem that you missed, that multiple choice problem. If you have a non-multiple choice problem, which is like a fill in the blank, where you have to enter the answer in, you'll have 3 attempts. And every missed attempt, you'll have a 10% penalty. So, anyways, that's how it works throughout the entire course. And go ahead and study as you work through the assignment. You don't have to complete the assignment in one sitting, and you don't have to do the problems in order. And you don't have to use your additional attempt if you miss a problem and you have an additional attempt. You don't have to use that attempt right away. You can come back whenever you want. You just have to make sure you complete your activity by the due date. So each Sunday. All right, and so that's how these work. And discussions are pretty straightforward in terms of the uniqueness of them. They're just like regular discussions, where you'll have a discussion topic. I guess that could be slightly unique in how I structure this, but it'll say discussion topic, and then everything below it is what you'll need to respond to. It's not here right now, but you'll notice that there's a thread that you'll reply to be able to answer your post, the discussion topic, and you're expected to submit your main post by Thursday and 2 replies by Sunday. And that's how each discussion works. There's 2 discussions in week 1, 2 discussions in week 2, and 1 discussion in week 3. So let's see here. The first week, there are a lot more graded activities, but you'll notice that 2 out of the 3 chapters, chapters 1 and 2, but not chapter 3, but chapters 1 and 2 were covered in the warm-up workshop. So if you completed the warm-up workshop before you got into this class, so it's really not going to be that long because you already know most of the material. So that's the purpose of the workshop. You can work through the material a lot faster. You'll notice in week 2, we're only covering 2 chapters, chapters 5 and 10. You'll notice in chapter 10, that wasn't covered in the warm-up workshop. Chapter 5 was, but chapter 10 was not covered in the warm-up workshop, and these PowerPoints look a little bit differently. So I already have this downloaded, the chapter 10 objective 1. I'll pull that up right now. Okay, so notice that you'll notice that this isn't referencing a warm-up workshop objective to look at. So you'll want to, you'll notice that there's going to be more, there's more likely that there'll be videos where I discuss the problems in here rather than telling you to watch a video from the workshop. So that's one of the main differences for any chapters or sections that are not covered in the workshop. You'll notice that you'll find more videos in the PowerPoint. And also keep in mind, I should have mentioned this before, but throughout the PowerPoint lectures on the top right, you may see these icons up here, and you can hit play, and it's just me discussing whatever's in the slide or whatever's around the slide, maybe the next slide also. So the next slide, you'll notice that there's also an audio button. So go ahead and listen to the audios, watch the videos in each of the PowerPoints to prepare, and also do the readings for whatever objective. And so yeah, there's only 2 chapters in week 2, and then week 3 there's only 1 chapter. It's just chapter 12, which is nice because this is a shorter week. It's nice you only have 1 chapter. So this is also not covered in the warm-up workshops. You're going to find a lot of videos and discussion inside the PowerPoints to help you prepare for each of the activities. And as I mentioned at the end, you'll notice at the end of each chapter, there's only 1 chapter here, but at the end of chapter 12, you'll notice that there's a chapter 12 test. And let's go back to week 2. And this applies to every chapter. Chapter 5, at the end of chapter 5, right above chapter 10, you'll find the chapter 5 test, chapter 10 test for chapter 10. So, which covers everything from that chapter. And these activities compared to the in-class and out-of-class assignments, the chapter tests are a bit lengthier, that there's more problems in them. So I would say that the in-class and out-of-class assignments, there's anywhere from like 3 to 6 problems, and the chapter tests range more from like about 10 to 12 problems on average. They're a little bit lengthier, the chapter tests. So let me know if you have any concerns about the structure. I'll be more than happy to help. And do keep in mind, as I mentioned already, you should have a lot of your warm-up workshop completed already. But even if you haven't completed any at all, or if there's certain objectives, if you're partially completed the workshop, you can still go back and regardless if you've taken the quizzes already, you can review all the videos in there. You'll want to use those for reference to prepare for some of these sections and in the class. But also just take any of the quizzes you haven't completed already and earn some extra credit by doing well in the quizzes. So it's still open. The warm-up workshop is open all 3 weeks of this course. So go ahead and complete as much of the workshop you didn't complete already and use the workshop to prepare for these activities, like chapters 1, 2, and 5. So let me know if you have any concerns. I'll be more than happy to help.